Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Bad Company from Reporter Games. Bad Company is a 1 to 6 player dice-driven racing game in which you are playing as, well, a mob. You're playing as a bunch of gangsters. In my case, I'm playing as the Emotional Ninjas. Yes, I did pick that specifically for this review because I think that's the best possible combination as far as the names go. But you're playing as a gang, and you're trying to race slowly around the map, and you're going to be leveling up your gang as you go through it, but ultimately this is a dice-driven game. You're going to be rolling dice in order to activate various gangsters, having a boss have a little more flexibility as far as how the dice are arranged, and then trying to level up your gang, accomplish jobs, gather various loot cards, and ultimately be the person with the most points at the end of it. The general gameplay sequence is you have a leader. You have a leader who's going to go ahead, a boss is going to roll the dice, and they're going to go ahead and have the option of paying, $1 every time to re-roll the dice as much as they want. Once you're done re-rolling, you're going to go ahead and combine it into different combinations. So for example, I'll go ahead and pick this 9 and the 4 right now, and that means I as the leader can activate my 9 and my 4. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 money over here. That's going to go to my personal reserve. And I'm also going to be able to cover one of these symbols with that. So we're going to go ahead and cover, let's go ahead and grab one of these. I'm going to cover one of these with that symbol. There's going to be a few kinds of symbols. There's going to be money, there's going to be driving, which is how you move your car on this map, and then the rest are symbols that can be used to deal with certain jobs and or your preset jobs over here. Now the other players can choose the 9 or the 4. They have an option of which one. I create the pairing, they choose which of the 9 or the 4. I got both, they get 1, and they'll activate one of their 9s or one of their 4s. When all that's done, you're going to go ahead and have the opportunity to level up your mob. So let's pretend I had some more money over here. I can go ahead and spend 3 money in order to move my person up over here, and then I'm going to be able to grab the 3 cards from the top of this deck and level up my mob. So we're going to grab these, and these are going to give you different numbers you can activate. The next time I activate a 9 or an 8 or a 10, I will get more stuff. In this case, I think I kind of do want the flashlight. No, yeah, you know what? The flashlight's going to give me loot over here. I'm going to take the flashlight person over here. So we're going to put the flashlight person over this 10 over here. That's going to increase the amount of symbols I get. He's grown a bit. He's going to give me 2 points at the end of the game. And now every time I activate the 10, I'm getting 2 symbols instead of just that 1. That's going to be that process here. And you can slowly continue to level up as you go around over here. Ultimately, when you get to the end, you can pay 5 money to get 3 points as many times as you want over there. When all that's done, the police officer is going to move on the map over here. You're going to have the police officer, which is starting on the map based on the number player count, and that police officer is going to be able to move as well, moving 1 space based on that die. And so the police is slowly trying to catch up to you, which is going to be relevant because on this map, a few things are happening here. The first is that every time you cross a checkpoint, you get that thing. 2 money, a loot card. You're going to get the perk over there. Additionally, there are shortcuts where if you're over here, you can go here this way. I'm going to miss 2 checkpoints, but I get to move a little faster, which can help me because at the end of the game, you lose 3 points if you're behind the police officer. So you're trying to move further on this map, getting the points for the end game over here, staying ahead of the police officer, and getting those various bonuses. That's the map aspect. And that's going to be one of the ways the game end is triggered is by moving into this red zone, or alternatively by accomplishing 6 heists over here from these cards. 6 heists on your little board over here. That's the other way the game ends. That's a turn. You're going to go ahead and have the next person become boss. They're going to, again, repeat that process. They're going to roll dice over here. They're going to create a pairing. Look at that. The police officer is moving 0, unless, of course, they choose to reroll, which they might want to. If they're far enough ahead, sometimes it's in your best interest to have the police officer move. They'll create an 8 and a 5 pairing over there. And that's basically, you're going to create an 8 and 5. They'll do theirs. I'll choose the 8 or the 5. I'll just choose this little hand over here so I can put this symbol onto my little job over there. And that's basically what's happening. A few small other things. First of all, there's going to be loot cards. Loot cards are going to be different. Whenever you see a safe symbol, which for example is over here or on the map, or different rewards for jobs, whenever you have a safe symbol, you're going to gather some of these cards. It gives you anything from points to money to additional symbols to cover up, to additional things you can gather over there. That's going to be these loot cards. And then you also have the rewards for jobs. Whenever you complete a job, and completing a job happens whenever you fill all the symbols of the job, you're going to go ahead and flip it over, and it's going to give you a reward. Sometimes the reward is going to be instantaneous points. So for example, this job will give you 3 points when you're done, as well as a loot card. This job, on the other hand, does not give you points straight up. Rather, it's going to give you points for every gold bar you have on all your cards. So you're incentivized to gather as many gold bars as possible because those will be worth points to you based on this card, and you can gather extra cards that will all feed into that strategy. And then the turn, whenever you have a completed job, you're going to move this over here, and the completed jobs, you're going to go ahead and draw another card every single turn to always have 2 jobs available for you to accomplish. Past that, Past that, the last thing to really cover here are going to be the necklaces. Whenever you get the most of a symbol, whenever you complete a job, so for example, I've completed this job, I now have the most gold bars, I'm going to take the gold bar necklace. I can put it on any member of my crew, and whenever I activate him, I'll get a point. When someone steals the necklace from me, they'll get a point, and when they activate it, they'll get a point. In order to steal the necklace, you have to have the most of that job type. There's going to be 4 different job types. It's going to be money bags, gold bars, paintings, as well as diamonds. Those are 4 different job types, and each corresponds to a necklace, which gives you 4 opportunities to have extra points feeding into your engine, depending on where you place them, depending on how you activate your people, and that is basically bad company. Once again, you roll dice, you pair up the dice into sets, you activate characters, and you may have gotten stronger characters, which means you're, as the boss, you're incentivized, I'm incentivized now, to create that 10 pairing in order to be able to get more stuff every time I activate the dice. Then you're going to use that to drive around the map, to accomplish heists, to get money, to do all those things, as you slowly level up your gang even further, which will give you points from there, as well as improving your tableau, until eventually one person has 6 heists done, or until someone enters the red zone of the board, at which point game end is triggered. You'll have one final round where you get to roll the dice, no rerolls, but everyone gets to use and pair up those to activate 2 however they like, and that will be the end of Bad Company. Which brings us to the review, starting off with ease of play. Rulebook is like 2 pages. There's really not a lot going on, maybe 3 or 4, but there's really not a lot going on as far as the complexity of the experience. It's rolling dice and activating things, and the rest of it comes down to improving your tableau, accomplishing heists, gathering loot cards, using this board to try to figure out how to spend more and more money to be able to upgrade your board as much as possible. There's that fun little balance of whenever you put another 10 down, you're getting more stuff when you activate the 10, but you'll cover up the points. So you're kind of incentivized to equally upgrade your gang to some extent, or to specialize in order to get more stuff, and that decision point is up to you. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, first of all, in general, this style of game is something that I like. This is a style of game that exists in Catan, is probably the originator. We have Catan, we have Space, we have Valeria Card Kingdoms, we have Machikoro, and we have Bad Company, and there's many other games that do this, but the general idea, 3 ones, that's intense, the general idea of rolling dice and having all players get a benefit from the roll dice is something that I've liked in every single game I play, and that holds true in Bad Company as well. It's just a fun system to always get something on your turn, and then to be improving your tableau so that when you get something on your turn, you get more things on your turn. That's just a fun system that constantly rewards you for playing the game. You play the game, you get better, you get more stuff. You play the game, you get better, you get more stuff. Combine that with the general powers and abilities, the loot cards, or the abilities on the heists that give you specific aspects. The heists not only have points, not only have points for the end game, they also, some of them have abilities. So for example, this one over here is whenever the police move 0, you get a coin. There's going to be ones that let you pay to be able to put down markers on completion markers on other tiles. And so there's abilities left, right, and center between the characters you have, between the loot cards, and between the heists you have, and all of those feed into you building out your own tableau that's going to be rewarding as you go through it. Additionally, it's a quick playing game. This plays 1 to 6 players, but because it's mostly simultaneous, kind of like the boss has to do their own thing, but then after that everyone can go at the same time. Because of that, the game runs maybe 45 minutes tops. I mean, the game box says 30 minutes. Yeah, that seems reasonable. 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes is a faster game, but I think you could knock this out in 30 minutes at lower player counts, and even at higher player counts, it's going to run 60 minutes tops, probably closer to 45. This is a quick moving game where the thing almost too quick. We'll get to that shortly. Almost too quick as far as the game goes. And then additionally, the necklaces. Vying for the necklaces are going to give you key extra points. This is a game where the point spread can be incredibly tight. You'll often see points like, 41, 40, and like 37. You'll see a tight point spread when you play this game. And so getting those necklaces, stealing those necklaces, activating those necklaces can absolutely be the difference between winning or losing this game, and you're constantly vying for those small things, all while managing this little race board tied into this tableau building engine. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all, going back to the part where I mentioned that it might be a little too fast, it doesn't feel like you get enough upgrading done. Contrasted with some of these other games in the genre, these other games I already mentioned, in Bad Company, because of the fact that first of all the game is short, and secondly because it kind of incentivizes you to spread your upgrades because of the points you're getting, rarely does it feel like you have those powerful turns where I get to activate an 8 and I get to do so many things and it just works out in my favor. More often than not, the game is a tight game. I talked about already the fact that you'll have close scores in the game, and that's because the game doesn't give you that aspect of really giving you opportunities to heavily cash in on your own strategy you're trying to pursue, to heavily try to build up those 7s, those 3s, those 2s, whatever it is you're doing. The game kind of evenly spreads things, and also when you upgrade, you draw 3 cards and pick one, so you have a less selection opportunity there. You are limited to what you select. So sometimes even if you wanted to pursue a strategy of either differentiating or specializing, sometimes you're just kind of dealt what the cards give you over there, differentiating it a bit from other games in the genre, but combine that with the quick playtime, and it feels very evenly spread. Yes, you're building a tableau. Yes, you're upgrading, but you don't upgrade that much by the time the game's done, and what you do upgrade doesn't feel that crazy. It definitely has tableau building, but not necessarily to the extent that some of these other systems have. And because of that, there's not really bad rolls or good rolls. It's very rare when I'm playing Bad Company that I roll the dice and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I can do X, Y, and Z. That doesn't happen to me in this game quite as much as it does in some others because of that even spread, and it makes the dice rolling lose some of its a gameplay momentum or impact that it might have in another engine. And then lastly, I would say I'm just not a fan of the art in general. The art and the aesthetic, I love my emotional ninjas, make no mistake, but the general art and the aesthetic, the slowly climbing people who just get longer and taller as you go through it, it's okay. It doesn't bother me, but it doesn't really pull me in either as far as that goes. As far as I can see others not liking, first of all, picking from 3 cards when upgrading, like I mentioned already, that idea of having less agency as far as how you upgrade things. You can grab 3 cards and maybe it helps you, maybe it doesn't, maybe it gives you abilities or upgrades you want. It feels a little bit less agency in this game compared to other upgrading games. And then also the police car. The police car is an interesting aspect where it kind of incentivizes you to move, but you kind of have a few choices here. You can either run the racetrack and go ahead and get the bonuses, or you can say you don't really care about the police car and you're just going to stay behind it because the 3-point penalty is not the end of the world, and if you spend your effort and energy focusing on other areas of the game, you could completely ignore the race aspect of the game, which feels like a core component of it, and still do just fine. You don't want to do it halfway. You don't want to be racing and then behind the police car. That's just the worst of it. But you either stay ahead of the police car, which isn't the hardest, or you can just stay behind it entirely and take the 3-point penalty and call it a day, which is a viable strategy. And so you may or may not like that aspect. It doesn't particularly bother me. I just consider it part of the game, but it may be something that gets in your way, especially if you consider the racing a core component of the game. As far as final thoughts on Bad Company, I wanted to love this game. I heard a lot of hype and buzz about the game, and it very much is a genre that I like. That rolling dice and activating stuff, I like that in a lot of games. Some of my favorite games, whether I've kept them or haven't kept them, I've always really liked them. And make no mistake, I do like Bad Company. But the main thing that hurts it for me isn't the art, it isn't the game length, it's that general idea that as I'm building up a tableau over here, I don't really have a huge degree of specialization. The game is more evenly spread, and I think part of that is the playtime, trying to give you a half-hour long experience while keeping it balanced with the players. I think it does evenly spread things in a way that keeps it consistent. It is enjoyable. People I've played it with have enjoyed it far more than I have. I like it. I enjoy it, but I also like having cool, impactful turns. I like being able to drive ahead. I don't like the imbalance of a crazy score, but I do like the imbalance of a crazy turn, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to have a game where I get 70 points and you get 30. That's not fun for anyone. But I do want to have the turn where I get 14 gold and other people get 2 and I feel super cool, and then later you have a turn where you manage to move ahead 5 spaces on the racetrack while I don't move ahead at all. Bad Company doesn't really give you that kind of experience. It gives you an evenly paced, evenly metered experience where there is strategy, there is tableau building. It kind of has the core elements of a game I like without crossing over to a game I love because of that more evenly distributed gameplay as opposed to the highs and lows moments. For me, it's a 3.5 out of 5. I certainly enjoyed it. I can easily recommend it if you like this genre of games, if you like space-based, if you like Machiko. In fact, this is a good time to move on to recommendations. If you like this game, or if you like other games, other recommendations worth covering are Space Base. Space Base from AEG, a fantastic game of building out your spaceships. Very similar board system where you're going to be putting out spaceships in different ways as you level up your own tableau and try to use that to drive your point scoring game. And then one of my personal favorites in the genre is Valeria Card Kingdoms. Valeria Card Kingdoms is definitely a guilty pleasure game. I don't consider it a high strategy game. I just consider it fun to grab these various citizens, put them into your tableau, and then have those crazy turns where you get 16 gold and then spend it on all the various monsters you're trying to defeat. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.